Selamun alaikum. Good morning. Welcome to my show, a new episode of my show, Women in Action. Today I'm joined by Mara from Tears Foundation. And I would like to welcome her first of all. She's one of my heroes in South Africa. And I have to say that my guests at my show, I always have some kind of connections with them. Either they are my friends or we have connected at some point in our lives. And I would like to tell our audience that my connection with you is through my daughter, actually, because I had heard about Tears Foundation long time ago when I was still the ambassador. And my daughter, who is going to UP, studying politics, philosophy, economics, wanted to do internships. So one of the first foundations we thought about, in addition to think tanks, was Tears Foundation. So she started doing an internship on the weekends at your offices in Johannesburg, answering calls, helping the helpline, the call center, and she just loved it. And she wants to continue also whenever she has time to come and help out. So welcome again to our show.
Thank you for having me.
And I already know, of course, about Tears Foundation, but what I'm more curious about is the person behind it, of course, you know, behind all the awards, accomplishments, this foundation that you founded in 2012. I'm curious about your life before, your career before the foundation of Tears. Yeah.
I was always in business. Thank you for asking that question. It is always interesting to see what people do, where their lives change. And obviously, in my life, I had a great changes, which is why I was on Tears. So I always found working in business extremely competitive. And I found it to be an industry where women have to try a lot harder than men. So when it came about that I was abused by my intimate partner, which is in GBV, they're always interesting names. It's called IPV. And I had to start my life over. I didn't get a lot of sympathy. Not that you need sympathy, but I wanted empathy. And so you find that in a male-dominated world, empathy is something that they push away. You don't want to be empathetic in business. You're trying to do a deal. You're trying to be that hard person that makes a success. Whereas a woman always battles two things. If you have to fire someone, you think of the consequences. You don't just think of the negative that they're doing in your business or in your place. So being a woman in business is an extremely difficult task, and I admire successful women because of that. So I had studied a master's degree in business. So I understood how to read a balance sheet. But as a woman, I understood how to read people. So when I'd been abused, I went to the police station and I wanted to report my case. And they kept saying, come back on Monday. And it was Friday. And I was scared. So I went home and I never went back. And 30 years have passed. And I've never been back because I was too scared to go back. I lost my courage. So when I started understanding that what I had experienced wasn't unique, women across our country and across the world experienced that, I thought, what would I have wanted when I was in the police station? And because at that time, mobile phones weren't as common as they are now, I imagined that if I'd been able to find help on my phone, I would have been better off than I was because I battled to recover. And statistics tell you that people that recover from any form of intimate partner violence or abuse, their recovery is a lot slower depending on how they are treated. So if you're treated very well, when you with the first responder to whom you report, it makes your recovery easier.
Interesting.
And so when I had finally reached the place of recovery, and I started to think about what did I need when I was sitting in the police station? What would I do if I had my chance over? So I said, well, I'll start an organization that gives women the service I wish I had when I was in the police station. So at my dining room table, Tears was birthed.
Wow. What an interesting and inspiring story, because this show is about, yes, women in action, always about accomplished women in their areas, but more importantly, it is about how these prominent women contribute to life, meaning contribute to their surroundings, their society, and South Africa in general. And yours has been such a big contribution, and it is visible, because just coming here, driving from Pretoria, I saw all the big, what do you call them, the banners or billboards along the streets of Tears Foundation and the helpline. It's very important. So can you please tell us a little bit about your more recent projects at Tears Foundation, what you are dealing with? We have the actually the pamphlets, the numbers. So tell us a little bit about, your projects.
One of the things that I purpose to do is that gender-based violence and abuse cannot be a mystery. It happens everywhere. It happens across the world. It happens all the time. Let's talk about it, because when people understand it, the chances are they would be able to take the relevant action. So people always make statements like, "Did you not see the red flags?" But if you don't know what a red flag is, how would you deal with it? And that's the problem. We don't teach people what are the red flags. For example, if your partner constantly phones you throughout the day and asks you what you're doing, that is not someone who loves you. That is someone who's checking up you and keeping you in control. And until we teach women that's what it is, and she says, "Well, I think twice a day is enough," or "I'll phone you when I leave work," that will be, to other people, onlookers, a red flag. And so we need to spend the time teaching people. One of the things that I do is I try to educate. So statistics show us, not only in South Africa, but around the world, that the second most common problem with abuse is intimate partner violence. And then people turn around and say to the woman, "Why didn't you just leave?" So I always say to people, please just keep quiet. And they are shocked when I say that, because giving them advice like, "Do you want to leave?" and not helping them leave is useless. It's just hot air. Because if you want to help someone leave and you're going to encourage them to leave, you need to have a practical solution. And the solution would be, how are you going to help them to leave? It's always their choice. It's always their decision. But if you haven't worked for 30 years or 20, if you have no money, if you are uneducated because you married very young, how can you leave? Let's get real. They need help.
True.
There are many shelters in South Africa.
Are there enough shelters?
There are definitely not enough shelters. And the difficulty is they are like boarding schools. And most women that run a home make it as beautiful as they can. And it's a place where they feel relaxed. A shelter is like a boarding school where you have a senior person. You have to clock in, you have to clock out. You can't have your phone for the first few weeks. It is a very restricted environment for the people's safety, because shelters have things like men coming and shooting up their doors. So you have to protect the people, but it makes life difficult if you're used to being free.
Interesting. So you have those training, probably workshops.
We do both.
And you, how many personnel do you have in your office? You have one headquarters in Johannesburg. And how many people work there?
We have 25 staff, and not all of them are permanent. One of the things that I started doing was giving young graduates who've qualified as social workers or other relative qualifications, even lawyers we have, who are doing their finals and who need to get a work experience in a specific field, working in our organization. So we have a very large internship program where we help people or graduates to learn about situations. So we only take in our permanent staff qualified staff.
Meaning psychologists?
Yes.
How many do you have qualified?
I have 8.
Permanent?
8.
Yeah, psychologists, social
I have 8,
workers.
and then I have two counselors
Okay.
who would also be qualified.
And then those students, like my daughter was, just voluntary or interns helping out. And it is a call center, first and foremost.
It is. We call it the Hope Center.
Hope Center, very nice. And there's a certain number to dial. Can you?
Yes. On that number, you could see, this is our helpline number. That's a free number for anyone to use anywhere in South Africa.
08 000 83277. Okay.
And then we have a helpline where you can ascertain the nearest facility. It's on a USSD number, and it's *134 *7355#. It's a free call, and there are 2 options on that call. If you are in an emergency, life-threatening situation, and you request assistance immediately, someone will answer you, and if you need the police or you need an ambulance, we will assist you.
Wow, that's very important, I think, to seek help, to ask for help the moment it happens. I mean, as far as possible, not to wait.
Yes.
And I believe when we come to the psychology of it, I believe it's tough for girls and women, and even boys, to think about seeking help first, rather than I don't know. I mean, you tell us more about it.
The
maybe.
shame of abuse.
Shame of abuse.
The shame of abuse is enormous. I know because I suffered from it. So somehow along the line, the person is being abused because, of course, men get abused and children. So it's a cross-sector. It's not just women. It's mostly women. And the shame that is going with being abused is absolutely huge. And you take all the responsibility, especially women. We take the responsibility for the abuser's bad behavior. And that is the hard thing. On the journey to healing, you have to understand it wasn't your bad. It was his or her bad. And that's a very hard process to make because as women, we are naturally nurturers. So taking the responsibility for someone's bad behavior is part of the healing journey.
Correct.
The other thing is the hard realization that abuse will never leave you. You will always carry it with you forever. How do you deal with that then?
You mean the memory of the abuse?
Yes. It will never ever get smaller. It always stays there. So healing is about how do you handle that. So you have to be more embracing of life. You have to embrace more things. So the abuse stays the same size and you grow into a bigger person in every way. You embrace more things. You take up more hobbies. You kind of
abuse.
Yes.
Become bigger
Yes.
than the abuse.
Yes. So that's very important. That's why we call our centre the Hope Centre, because we like to give people the hope that tomorrow will be different. And it will be different if you make the changes. But the hard thing is to realize no one can do it for you. You have to do it for yourself.
And victims are victims. It's not gender specific. You know, boys, other sexes can get, can be faced with that.
Yes.
Before our meeting, I had an online meeting with a mining company because I'm trying to bring my workshop, Empowering Boys, which is also to counter GBV, as you know, to that province, to a mining community. And they were telling me it's 30% of the victims of GBV, 30% in that mining community is boys and men. And that was a big number to grasp.
Yes, it's 1 in 6 in our country.
Wow.
And very little education is done for them. That's why your program for the boys is so important.
And we just need to upscale it, and we just need to reach bigger numbers. The problem is to provide a safe space for boys to feel comfortable and to engage with us, the numbers need to be small. You can't go beyond 50, I think, each time. That's the, in any case, can you tell us a little bit about some of the programs that you are running now? I learned there's a program called Daisy, for instance, and the CRM. What are those?
So one of the interesting things, just following on the boys aspect, is that I always laugh and joke because, as I mentioned, I was 60 when I started Tears on my dining room table. So most of the ideas that I have, I've dreamed, quite literally, with a pen and paper, thought it up, and then seen if we can do it. And I've had one or two ideas that were just literally dreams and have stayed dreams, but many of them have come to fruition. So one of the things is I realized that, exactly as you've just pointed out, there are many questions about sexuality, especially if you're a young girl or boy, because that's an age when you actually question everything. But it also is an age when your body's changing, and we don't have places where they can ask the question. I always call it the questions you'd have liked to ask your parents but were too afraid. So we have developed a program where you can view educational inserts on your mobile phone using that same number that I gave earlier. You can select out of 15 programs and you can watch what is abuse, what to do if you've got an STD, because they don't want to go to their teachers or their parents. We've got to help our kids.
Is it an application, like an app on the phone?
It's part of the USSD service, so it's free to the viewer. And I did it in a couple of languages, but the important thing is that it's also got words. In other words, you don't have to have the sound on, because if you live in a very small house where you don't have a lot of privacy, you can read it.
That's sensitive, yeah.
But you can call us off that number and we can help you. So if you've been raped, if you've been abused, if you're not even sure of your rights, because actually one of the things is young girls often find themselves pregnant and they don't really understand why. Because they live in an environment where they've seen it happening. And knowing that it shouldn't be done by you, where do you draw the line?
True. It's the education aspect that Tears Foundation is also contributing with, right? So the first function is definitely to be the first, like the helpline, the hope line for any victim that reaches the foundation. Second is about awareness, raising awareness and really education. That is so important. That's why actually I have Celeste from Tears Foundation as one of my speakers at the workshops, talking about sexual abuse and all that awareness that we need to give to the boys as well. Yeah, it's important.
So you asked about the CRM system.
Yes.
Basically, so I did confess or mention that I started Tears on my dining room table. And honestly, I've done very interesting things in my life. I've sold fleets of cars before I sold mostly engineering businesses. And and this was the hardest, because people don't want to talk about GBV. And I soon realized, because after I'd operated for almost 7.5 years without getting any donations, and I had depleted my personal resources, depleted my bond, and many other, my brother-in-law's goodwill, I realized that one of the things that will help us to get funding is if we have statistics. So with the CRM system, we can pull out information like what time do most
those incidents happen.
Do incidents happen, and what time, what day of the week? Are they more around Christmas and New Year when the kids are on school holidays? A new one that we've just added, because it doesn't implement or affect our implementation of assistance, is the victim employed? Because we don't ask only questions related to how we can statistically manage or statistically report. what we do is we ask questions that will help them.
Nice. When did you start collecting that data? How many years ago?
About 9 years ago.
9 years ago. And I think that's valuable data for government, especially, and for corporations and institutions that deal with those sociological issues in the country, first of all. And also, you also get information about the profile of the abusers, you know, which careers they have, what age group, all that stuff. That is so valuable, I think. It's like a survey, doing a survey actually. And that would help also those in professions like occupational therapists and other, you know, mental health workers, also to get to know the profile of the victims and to devise prevention programs. I don't know, but yeah.
You know, when we do our education, you're 100% correct. When we do our education, we always start off with the place of training first responders. Because as I said earlier, the recovery of the survivor depends on the first disclosure. And so disclosing, as I've said earlier, is a very hard task because it starts with beating yourself up, then it starts with blaming. And the fun part is people blame you as well. People don't say, well, you know, it was out of your control, how can I help you? They say you shouldn't have walked there. And that is a very difficult place to be. And so one of the things that one has to do in dealing with victims of rape and abuse is understand that it is emotional. You have to be comforting, you have to be kind, you have to be generous in your heart space. So we don't time our help. But so when we're speaking to people on the phone, we gently ask them the question. It's not a survey situation. So sometimes we don't get the information that we would want for a statistical report because we're not going to push that person.
Correct. But you do follow-up calls. I know from my daughter.
We do.
Because they will be so quiet. They will not give away much.
Yes.
And that is so sensitive. That's the sensitive moments. Yes. But whatever so it will be recorded, at least, you know, the age of the person. Yes. And, you know, certain factual information definitely will be recorded. And let's talk about a little bit statistics. I know you reach 70,000 people a year through your programs. That's a huge number. That's all over South Africa, correct?
It is, yes. So one of the things we've started doing is having access to our interventionists, our counsellors, online through Facebook. And that has a very high reach. So it's not always people who ask about our service. It's maybe someone who reads the post and pushes like, but doesn't want more information at that stage. Because we realized that we are a generation or a world that's working on our phones.
So you are on social media.
Yes.
And somebody can send you a message on Facebook, correct?
Yes.
Are you on Instagram?
We are.
DM on
TikTok.
Instagram, TikTok. Perfect.
So, because sometimes people don't have access to other kinds of media. Or
they don't
no
want to
airtime.
talk, maybe. They want to write, maybe, you know?
It's quite common that people don't want to talk.
And it's about finding your voice.
Yes.
A time when teenagers are trying to find their voices. If a trauma like this happens, they, I think, lose it altogether, the voice. So that's the problem, yeah.
Well, I also think a very important thing is that younger people, who actually the people of now, I was told they're not the future generation, they're the generation, and that's also speak a different language. So it's very interesting because I've had parents phoning me and say, I looked at your videos or I phoned your helpline number. Now I understand. Because we haven't trained the parents either. No. Parenting skills, you know, is needed in every country. I think this is a universal need, first of all, devoid of, like, independent of culture. But of course, there are cultural norms that are different from country to country. We have GBV everywhere in the world, yes, to different degrees.
and the cultural norms. For instance, I have found, like in certain cultures, people avoid facing the problem sometimes, you know.
Well, I think that's in South Africa, because let's be very honest, South Africa has a GBV rate 5 times higher than anywhere in the world. That is frightening.
That is frightening. And then it is for all generations, parents and children alike. As you said, there are different trainings that different segments of society need. And it is not about November, you know, what is it? So how many days of activism? 16 days, or I don't know.
Not enough.
Not enough, and it doesn't matter the days or the time or a month dedicated to women. You know, that's not it. Talking, I think it's too much talking we have been doing on women's issues, and not much action is going on. And yours is one of those, you know, most important actions in the country to really tackle with the issue face on. You know, like the person who is abused reaches you, then you are in action. You are trying to help that one person. That is so important. Tell us a little bit more about, you know, your other, your vision, let's say, for next year. We are almost ending the year. How are you working on making an even bigger impact, you know, in South Africa?
Well, the very interesting thing is that everywhere in the world, and South Africa is no difference, we're talking about a movement, a movement. If you look at the news, you'll see people talk about it. Well, we're talking about that in South Africa and in Southern Africa, because we work, although we don't have our call service across Africa, we do assist organizations across Africa. So one of the things is that we did as part of the movement, we have a very well-known artist called PJ Powers, and she will be launching a song, and it's for 16 days of activism about abuse and speaking out, which is our first rally call for people, and which we think will go across Africa, which we are excited about, because we need to rally about something. What you correctly said earlier was that talk shops are many, action is little. That's why I started Tears. I wasn't going to sit at home and complain. You have to go out and do something.
And let's look at the trends. You've been doing this, the foundation has been in operation since 2012, right? So in the past 13 years, what is the trend? Yes, the numbers are increasing, but let's talk about the attitudes. Are you getting more calls? Are people more aware over time, you know, since the time you started? How is it going? Like, is there hope in...
Well, I think progressively more people do contact us, and that is because our name has become better known. We even have other GBV facilities recommending help or recommending us to their clients, because we can't be in competition. We've always got to help. So you asked earlier about shelters. We have too few, far too few. And also the life is different from where the woman has been. So you often have women leaving with the cars waiting outside the shelter, because the life is better at home under abuse than it is in the shelter. But it's like being at boarding school, but you're 50. So I think we have become more aware in news media, but we've become less aware as people. Because I know from myself, when I would tell somebody I moved because of this, they'd immediately want to go, oh, I'm so sorry. And in fact, the answer should be, first responder, what can I do to help you? So my answer is that still has not changed. And people need to say to themselves, if someone in my staff discloses the abuse in their home, what are we as a company prepared to do? What are we as a school? What are we as a church or mosque? Because most people only talk.
That is such an interesting perspective. It's about change of attitude, change of perspective, of looking at GBV and the victims of GBV? What is our responsibility? So we never really think about that. You know, we say, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, that kind of stuff. Wow. So there's so much to talk about on the subject because we are talking about actually the actions. So I'm talking to somebody who is really walking the talk. That's why we need to do a second episode. This was the end of our first episode. We need to give more time to people like Mara, who is a hero in this space. And we'll see you at our next episode next week. Thanks for watching.
I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.